Hey partners, welcome back to the Go Show, your daily dose of cryptocurrency using my stories for your investment. This episode entitled Let's Go to the Future. What if you wake up today seeing $100 million in your bank account? What will you do? I've been thinking about this for the longest time in the past 3 years since entering crypto. I know I've done a lot of research on blockchains that I should invest in, and in this blockchain Corium, I believe this will make me into a billionaire, but this will start with me seeing $100 million in my bank account in the not so distant future. I am confident that this is not a matter of if, but it is a matter of when. And in my research of all the blockchains, I know that Corium will be one of the top 3 blockchains in the world. And that is why I was so confident that I created and set up my own validator node called the Go and Partners Social Impact Validator. The future is now, and in this episode, this is what I am going to talk about. Remember in the previous episode, I talked about the countless people that have made so much money through cryptocurrency investment in the past bull run. I was also a beneficiary of it when I invested $600 in Dogecoin, and within 5 days, it moved to $20,000. Imagine in Corium, I'm investing not in a meme coin, but in a blockchain that is potentially one of the leading blockchains for enterprise-grade technology and adoption, where financial institutions and the most recognizable businesses will be building on this blockchain. Seeing $100 million, it's not a question of if, but it's a question of when. This is like investing in Ethereum when Ethereum was first dropped at 32 cents. I remember countless people talk about getting Ethereum just in free events in Silicon Valley. Of course, I've done my research, and you as well should do your research on this. And you were able to see the blueprint on how Ethereum was able to move from 32 cents all the way to $5,000 in the last bull run. Imagine if you're in Corium and this is going to be 10 times, 20 times, 30 times more valuable than Ethereum. If you had that money, what are you going to do? Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching! Money, 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 everybody. If you're in cryptocurrency, you came here because you want generational wealth. Let's face it, let's not deny the fact that most who actually invest in cryptocurrency, the first objective is really to make and amass wealth, to improve their families, to be able to build their mansion, to buy expensive cars, and to help their extended families. For me, I want to give back to the community through my social impact Go and Partners Validator. So with $100 million in my account through the commissions that I will be getting through the validator, I have a plan in mind, and this is what I want to share with you today. I have already accepted the fact that I am a philanthropist at heart. And as a philanthropist, I want to make sure that I can be a voice of reason on issues that beset the world. Poverty, alleviation, ending hunger, ending violence, and discrimination. It's all over the news. You see so many people that are ostracized in the world. I want to be that go-to person through the Go Show and the Go and Partners Validator, to be the thought leader, the person that will be interviewed in the news and public affairs, the person that will be quoted on what my opinions are on specific issues. Right now, there's always an issue about lack of sustainable food systems that affect third world countries. That's why there's hunger. I want to have that voice so that I can invest through the validator on specific technologies, advocacies that can alleviate poverty and hunger in these developing nations. See, as a young person, I've always been socially conscious. And as a person that cares about the community, it was always hard for me because I did not have the money. I was too young, especially in the Philippines. When I was young, would always read newspapers. When newspapers were a thing, every day I would read the Philippine Daily Inquirer and the Philippine Star, and I would go through the editorial and I would read through, what these experts would talk about on matters of politics that shape the future of the Philippines. I grew up in that period of time where there's overthrowing of governments, where there's no political stability, where people are actually apathetic and corruption exists. I saw in the roads, you could see, people would just throw their food, they would litter around, there's no sense of discipline. When my parents would drive me to places, I would see on the street beggars asking for money, begging for support. I would see these beggars even holding their babies. And I thought to myself, how come I could see all the pain and suffering and the inequality that I'm seeing, and yet nothing seems to be done at a level that is systemically possible for Philippines to thrive. That's why we were known as the sick man of Asia. And from that time, in the early 90s, all the way to today, I ask myself, has the Philippines actually improved? Or are we still struggling compared to our neighboring countries? And in the last survey that I saw, just in the papers that was circulating on tourism, the Philippines is actually lagging behind many of these countries, namely Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, that the Philippines is actually even lower than Vietnam. The Philippines was only ahead of the war-torn countries, Cambodia, Laos. And I said to myself, every president, every leader has promised to make the Philippines great, a prosperous nation. But why? Why are we here today? And I believe that with $100 million and the support that you would give, the support that people would invest in me and through the Validator, it is inevitable for me to be that change agent that will be of influence, not just to the Philippines, but for the rest of the world. Not that I think that there's no hope in this world and that everything is so bleak. I actually think that there are positives that we can see. At least in my country, I would say that our basketball team just recently won the gold medal. Gilas in the Asian Games is something that our country could be proud of. And just recently in the last Olympics, we had our first gold medal ever, when Heidelin Diaz became a weightlifting gold medalist. So as I see that national pride, everybody getting excited, tweeting, posting on Facebook how proud they are as a Filipino, I want that to be that story where every day everybody is so proud to become a Filipino, because the Philippines is not the sick man of Asia, but the Philippines is the leading country in Asia, where people in the Philippines are proud that they can come back. All these millions of Filipinos are back in the Philippines and they can contribute to sustainable living. That is what I envision. When people are asked, who wants change? Everybody raises their hands. But if you ask them, do you want to change? The hands go down. You may have given up in your life. You may have surrendered, lost hope. But despite all your struggles, my hands will be raised. I will continue to raise my hands and be your voice so that we will see change. And you can be part of this mission in the Go In Partners Validator. Together, social impact will be achieved in areas that I talked about. With how I act right now and all the daily videos that I put out, it is inevitable that I will be one of the leading validators in the Corium blockchain. With $100 million worth of Corium in the treasury of the Validator, this is what I'm going to do. The first thing that I will be doing is setting up my decentralized autonomous organization. This is like the regular board of directors in many corporations, but only in the blockchain, whereby the token holders will be able to participate in the decision making of my DAO, or decentralized autonomous organization, in my Validator. And there, we will focus on the key areas where we will be deploying the $100 million. As a starter, I've mentioned that I will put 50% of the commissions to these four areas. But through this now, we will be able to make decisions whether to change it, increase it, or to allocate it for other initiatives. That is the beauty of the DAO, because all the stakers, all the delegators in the Go and Partners Validator would now be empowered to make key decisions. In this way, your hands are also raised because you have the power to decide on what we will be doing with the commission. This will serve as the foundation, and this will be called the Go and Partners Decentralized Autonomous Organization. This is the ultimate empowerment that you can take matters in your hands and that you can decide which charitable causes, social impact initiatives we will focus on. Let's start with hunger. One of my advocacies is healthy nutrition. I believe it is everyone's right to have a well-balanced diet. And in Beam and Go, we have this program called the Beam and Go Academy, where we were holding workshops with the children of the Catholic Bishops Conference of the Philippines. These children who have overseas Filipino parents, these workshops were done concurrently. We were holding these workshops titled My Ticket to an Empowered Life on a yearly basis together with Blas Ople Policy Institute, and then the other one is the Villar Sipag Foundation. And we were helping the children who were part of the Catholic Bishops Conference of the Philippines. And these children are the children of the abandoned kids of the overseas Filipino workers. I intend to do this concurrently with the Go and Partners Validator and do it as staple to be able to focus on ending hunger. One of the lessons that I learned in this conference was when the doctor, his name is Raymond Escalona, was giving an example to the children that they know that children love boba tea or baba or milk tea nowadays, but when they choose the option, they always choose the 100% sugar option. And what Dr. Raymond said to them is that you can actually just choose 0 or 25% sugar. And that's one example of options given to them. In every boba tea cafe, they always have the options for you to add the toppings. There's the cream cheese, the pearls, the pudding, and last but not the least is the sugar level. And I could remember vividly one of the attendees of the workshop, her name is Stella, and Stella was complaining about how she was bullied so much in school, and that she said that if not for the workshop, she wouldn't have learned about her addictions, and that the workshop was able to help her to be able to choose always the healthier option. Like with what happened with Stella. Stella's mom works in Hong Kong, and Stella did not have that concept of being healthy, and she would get all her allowance and focus on sweets, chocolates, and even non-healthy snacks like potato chips, instead of actually consuming and eating correct food that had proper nutrition in it, like vegetables, fruits. And in this workshop, the doctor would always present pictures of choosing the healthier option, choosing between an ice cream or the regular fruit. Both are actually sweet, but it's actually healthier to choose the fruit over the ice cream. Now, these are lessons that can be replicable if we were able to have tons and tons more of beneficiaries. And we will be able to do this through the proceeds of this validator so that we can expand this workshop titled My Ticket to an Empowered Life. This is just one example of many more initiatives that we will decide upon in our DAO on how we will intend to address hunger. The next is poverty. I am deeply affected by this aspect of poverty. Poverty, I believe, is a mindset. It is rooted in scarcity. Many people think that the Philippines is so poor. The nation is in dire straits. There's no hope. But yet you see in the papers, in social media, people complaining about them being scammed, whether it's in cryptocurrencies and Ponzi schemes. So there's money lying around. But you can actually invest not in scams, but in legitimate projects and cryptocurrencies and investments. And that is having that abundance mindset, but also being astute to be able to research and to know where to put your money in. Many fall for these quick, rich schemes, but that only means there's money lying around. So with all that money lying around, hundreds of millions every day, money that is moved from an innocent victim just wanting to make her life much better to these scammers, we know for a fact that there is money lying around. You can have a slice of that pie either as a scammer or as a legitimate investor in recognized, regulated investment instruments, be it stocks, be it treasuries, be it government bonds, or this new emerging asset class, cryptocurrencies. The fact remains, there's money lying around. Money moved hands from these innocent people and went into the hands of these scammers. Now, with your support through this validator, there's abundance. Abundance, I believe, translates to an overflow, not of funds, but of our resources that we will be deploying through our poverty alleviation initiatives. One of the core initiatives to be able to have an abundant life is through entrepreneurship. It's like teaching a man to fish rather than giving a man a fish. We want them to learn how to be independent, how they could make money. And we will be doing that through our entrepreneurship programs. And one example of that is through Beam and Go. It's e-commerce. Nowadays, many people make money through selling online. And Beam and Go has that entrepreneurship program so that these migrant workers could come back and make Beam and Go into a platform where they could resell our products and earn a commission. I will explain that and more in a future episode. Next is discrimination. This is very close to my heart, as during the pandemic, many nation states began to give emergency aid to their citizens. But not many know that in Hong Kong, that wasn't entirely true for everyone who was contributing to their economy. Hong Kong gave up to 30,000 Hong Kong dollars in 4 tranches during the pandemic to its citizens, but one class of people were left behind. And these were not just the Filipino migrant workers, but a specific demographic. And these were the domestic helpers. They did not receive any until they started to complain and make noise that it appeared in the papers, where it was talked about in the migrant workers beat of the newspapers, that they had to fight for something also given to them. Aren't they the reason why the Hong Kongers are able to work and get a huge salary in banks and working in financial institutions, having a high-paying job? But they were able to do that because the work was done by the migrant workers, the domestic helpers at home, because they're picking up the students in schools. They were doing the grocery shopping. They were fixing the bed and making sure that the house is clean. Aren't we missing out on these people who actually are the reason why these executives are able to work and make a huge salary? And this is the reason why many of these Hong Kongers have a dual income, both male and female, are able to work and get even loads of money because of these helpers. They are not forgotten. And in this validator, with me as a spokesperson, as a thought leader, as a philanthropist, I will make sure that I will fight for you and we will make this an equitable endeavor. If you are the abused, the domestic helper, the discriminated, whether you're working in Hong Kong or Saudi Arabia or Qatar or the Middle East, if you're listening right now, I will be fighting for you, that you will also get equally the aid that you deserve. As you may know, the pandemic was an example of basic income given to citizens around the world. Right now, governments are preparing for a universal basic income. They plan to do this in the face of the new world. of artificial intelligence, where jobs are going to be removed. There will be less manual labor and there will be more dependence on technology and artificial intelligence to deal with the jobs of this world. It is through our initiatives that we will ensure that when we structure our programs wherein we work with government agencies and charitable institutions, when we give out the aid, we will ensure that no one is discriminated, that we will teach them something in return, whereas to ensure that they have a job, they contribute to the economy. As we work with charitable organizations, including the governments, in delivering emergency aid, charity aid, or universal basic income, which will be a big thing in the coming years, we will ensure that these initiatives will not leave anyone behind. And we were able to demonstrate that during the pandemic. We work with a blockchain called S01 that focuses also on social impact and delivering aid. And they used Beam and Go's digital voucher solution to be able to deliver the emergency aid to the micro small entrepreneurs or the mom and pop shop sari store owners, mostly women, through the Ramon Aboites Foundation and also through the biggest donor, JP Morgan. And we used our platform and ensured that over 3,400 women continued to receive aid and they could use it to replenish the stocks of their groceries in their mom and pop shop. And we will build upon this early success through the Corium blockchain by creating these smart contracts to ensure that the universal basic income is robust and it caters to an array of audiences and that it will meet certain conditions to ensure its success. And last but will never be forgotten are the victims of human trafficking, those who were abused, victims of violence, those who were hurt as they were working overseas. As they come back to the Philippines, we will support these mental wellness and recovery efforts by funding and helping them go through these programs structured by mental health experts so that they can rise above the abuse. And then later on, we will also enroll them through our livelihood programs, along with Blas Ople Policy Center, an organization backed by the United Nations in their collective efforts of addressing human trafficking. We, through our Validator, will give them our 100% support. These initiatives that I have explained to you already exist at a small scale. But with your support and your backing through the Go and Partners Social Impact Validator, we can make it even bigger, even outside the Philippines, as we scale in all corners of the world. You can be part of this and make it bigger than it can possibly be. And now I answer that question. I already have $100 million worth of resources through the commissions of the Validator. You know what I will do. And that concludes our episode today. I hope you enjoyed it. And now I invite you to the next episode where I talked about foundations.